The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Maya wiped down another sticky table in the university cafeteria. Her worn sneakers squeaked against the linoleum floor as she moved methodically from table to table, her movements practiced and efficient. The lunch rush had ended an hour ago, but the evidence remained: crumbs scattered across surfaces, forgotten napkins, and the occasional spilled drink that had dried into stubborn stains. She had been working at Riverside University's main cafeteria for 8 months now, ever since her parents had made it clear that her dreams weren't going to pay for her education. Maya had always been fascinated by space exploration and military technology, spending countless hours reading about classified operations and advanced weaponry systems. Her professors in the engineering program had praised her innovative thinking and technical aptitude, but her parents saw only impracticality in her interests. "Keep your head in the clouds, Maya, and you'll end up cleaning floors your whole life," her father had said during their last argument about her career path. The irony wasn't lost on her now, as she literally cleaned tables to pay for the very education he insisted she pursue in something more stable like accounting or business management. Maya paused in her cleaning to push a strand of dark hair behind her ear. At 22, she had the kind of sharp intelligence that showed in her eyes: alert, observant, always analyzing. Even while performing this mundane work, her mind wandered to the theoretical physics problems she'd been working on in her spare time, particularly her thesis on quantum communication systems in extreme environments. The cafeteria was nearly empty now, except for a few students hunched over their laptops in the corner and the kitchen staff preparing for dinner service. Maya found the quiet moments like these almost meditative. She could think clearly without the chaos of hundreds of students chattering, laughing, and complaining about their food choices. As she sprayed sanitizer on another table, Maya's thoughts drifted to the strange conversation she'd overheard earlier that morning. Two men in expensive suits had been sitting near the windows, speaking in hushed tones about Project Lighthouse and something called deep cover assets. She tried to appear busy while straining to hear more, but they'd left abruptly when one of them noticed her proximity. Maya had always been curious about things that didn't quite fit normal patterns. Growing up, she'd been the kid who wondered why certain government buildings had no windows, why some news stories disappeared from the internet, and why her uncle, who claimed to be a systems analyst, never seemed to have a consistent work schedule or office location. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, and she glanced at it quickly. A text from her roommate Sarah: "Movie tonight? You've been working too much lately." Maya smiled slightly and typed back, "Maybe. Still have 2 more hours here." She tucked the phone away and continued her routine, but something felt different about the atmosphere in the cafeteria. Maybe it was the way the two men in suits had kept glancing toward the kitchen area, or how the usual background chatter from the staff seemed more subdued than usual. Maya had learned to trust her instincts about these things. They'd served her well in avoiding campus troublemakers and identifying which professors actually cared about their students versus those just going through the motions. The industrial clock on the wall showed 3:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, the afternoon announcements would begin over the PA system, the usual mixture of club meeting reminders, lost and found notifications, and administrative updates that most people tuned out completely. Maya had been working here long enough to predict the rhythm of these announcements with surprising accuracy. She moved to the next section of tables, noting absently that someone had left behind a newspaper folded to the international news section. The headline mentioned increased military activity in several regions, but the details were vague in the way that suggested there was more to the story than what was being reported. Maya had always been skeptical of mainstream news coverage, preferring to piece together information from multiple sources to form her own understanding of current events. As she reached for the abandoned newspaper, planning to add it to the recycling bin, Maya noticed something unusual about the way it was folded. The creases weren't random, they seemed deliberately placed to highlight certain words when the paper was viewed from a specific angle. Her engineering mind immediately recognized this as a form of steganography, a way of hiding information in plain sight. Before she could examine the paper more closely, the kitchen door swung open and Chef Martinez emerged, wheeling a cart of supplies. He nodded to Maya with his usual friendly smile, but she noticed his eyes seemed more alert than typical, scanning the cafeteria in a way that reminded her of security footage she'd studied in her cybersecurity elective. "Quiet afternoon, Maya," he said, his accent carrying the slight tension she'd learned to associate with people who were thinking about more than their immediate tasks. Very quiet, she agreed, watching as he positioned his cart in a way that gave him a clear view of both the main entrance and the administrative offices upstairs. Almost too quiet. Chef Martinez paused in his work, giving her a look that lasted just a moment too long. You're very observant for someone who cleans tables. The comment could have been casual, but something in his tone suggested otherwise. Maya felt a familiar tingle of curiosity mixed with caution. Throughout her life, she'd encountered people who seemed to be playing a deeper game than what appeared on the surface. Her uncle had been one of them. A few of her professors fell into this category. And, now, apparently, the head chef of a university cafeteria. I notice things, Maya said carefully, continuing to wipe down the table while keeping Chef Martinez in her peripheral vision. It helps me do my job better. I'm sure it does, he replied, but his attention was now focused on something beyond the windows. Maya followed his gaze and saw a black sedan with tinted windows parked in what was normally a no-parking zone. The vehicle had been there for about 20 minutes, and nobody had emerged from it. The wall clock now showed 3:52 p.m. 8 minutes until the announcements began. Maya found herself unconsciously straightening up, though she couldn't explain why she felt a sense of anticipation building in her chest. Maybe it was the combination of the mysterious newspaper, Chef Martinez's unusual behavior, and the black sedan outside. Or maybe it was just her overactive imagination looking for patterns where none existed. She moved to the windows under the pretense of cleaning tables there, but really to get a better look at the sedan. The afternoon sun created a glare on the windshield that made it impossible to see inside, but Maya noticed the license plate was the type issued to government vehicles. Her heart rate increased slightly as she remembered her uncle once telling her that the most important intelligence work happened in places where nobody would think to look. Maya, Chef Martinez called out, his voice carrying a note of authority she'd never heard before. When you're done with that section, could you help me with something in the storage area? She turned to look at him, and, for just a moment, saw something in his expression that made her realize her ordinary job might be about to become anything but ordinary. The storage area was in the back of the kitchen, away from the windows and the handful of remaining students. It was exactly the kind of place someone would choose for a conversation they didn't want overheard. Of course, Maya replied, her voice steady despite the questions racing through her mind. As she folded her cleaning cloth and prepared to follow Chef Martinez, she caught sight of the newspaper again. This time, she noticed that the highlighted words formed a pattern: asset, activation, and Obsidian. The clock showed 3:59 p.m. 1 minute until announcements began. Maya tucked the newspaper under her arm as she walked toward the kitchen, every instinct telling her that whatever was about to happen would change everything about her quiet life as a cafeteria worker. The black sedan remained motionless outside, like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Behind her, the few remaining students continued their conversations, completely unaware that the young woman who'd been invisibly cleaning around them for months might be on the verge of stepping into a world where invisibility was a completely different kind of skill. Maya pushed through the kitchen doors, following Chef Martinez toward whatever revelation awaited in the storage area, while overhead, the PA system crackled to life with the familiar sound that preceded the daily announcements. But, today, Maya sensed, would bring an announcement unlike any other. The storage area smelled of industrial cleaning supplies and commercial food packaging, but, as Maya followed Chef Martinez deeper into the space, she noticed details that seemed inconsistent with a typical university kitchen storage room. The shelving units were positioned in ways that created natural surveillance blind spots, and several boxes bore shipping labels from companies she recognized from her research into military contractors. "Close the door, please," Chef Martinez said quietly, his entire demeanor shifting from friendly kitchen staff to something far more professional and serious. Maya complied, feeling her pulse quicken as she realized there was no turning back from whatever conversation was about to unfold. "Your real name isn't Martinez, is it?" Maya asked, her engineering mind already analyzing the subtle inconsistencies she'd observed over months of working alongside him. "And this isn't really just a storage room." A slight smile crossed his weathered face. "You're as sharp as your file indicated. My name is Commander Torres, and this facility serves multiple purposes beyond feeding hungry college students." He gestured to what appeared to be an ordinary storage shelf, but when he pressed a concealed panel, the entire unit slid aside to reveal sophisticated electronic equipment and communication devices. Maya stared at the hidden setup, her mind racing to process the implications. Intelligence operation. This whole place is a cover. It wasn't a question, the evidence was suddenly overwhelming once she knew what to look for. The university setting provides perfect cover for monitoring various activities and maintaining assets in place, Torres confirmed, watching her reaction carefully. Students come and go, staff changes regularly, and nobody pays attention to the people who keep the infrastructure running. Perfect invisibility. And I'm not really just a cafeteria worker, Maya said slowly, pieces of a larger puzzle beginning to form in her mind. The job interview, the background check that seemed unusually thorough, the way certain conversations always seemed to happen near my tables. Torres nodded approvingly. Your recruitment began 18 months ago when your professors flagged your exceptional analytical abilities and your independent research into classified technologies. Your thesis on quantum communication systems caught the attention of some very interested parties. Maya felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. My uncle was involved in this, wasn't he? His mysterious job, the way he always knew things about current events before they hit the news. Agent Reed served with distinction for 15 years before his retirement, Torres confirmed. He recommended you for this program, though the final decision was based entirely on your own qualifications and psychological profile. The PA system crackled overhead, and Maya could hear the familiar voice of the university announcer beginning the daily routine. But, instead of focusing on the mundane campus announcements, Torres moved to one of the communication devices and adjusted several settings. In approximately 90 seconds, you're going to hear something that will officially begin the next phase of your life, Torres explained, his fingers dancing over controls with practiced efficiency. For the past 8 months, you've been undergoing evaluation and preliminary training without realizing it. Every situation you've encountered, every conversation you've overheard, every instinct you've followed has been carefully monitored and assessed. Maya thought back over the previous months, the suspicious characters she'd noticed, the overheard conversations, the way she'd always seemed to be in the right place at the right time to observe unusual activities. I've been an unconscious intelligence asset. You've been a candidate, Torres corrected. Today, if you choose to accept, you become operational. The announcements continued overhead reminders about library hours, updates on campus construction projects, requests for students to claim lost items. Maya found herself listening more intently than ever before, knowing that everything was about to change. What exactly am I being recruited for? Maya asked, though part of her had already begun to guess based on the sophisticated equipment around her and the careful way Torres had structured this revelation. Project Lighthouse, Torres replied, and Maya felt a jolt of recognition from the conversation she'd overheard that morning. A deep-cover intelligence program focused on monitoring and responding to emerging technological threats. Your background in engineering, your natural observational skills, and your ability to blend into civilian environments make you ideal for this kind of work. Maya walked closer to the hidden equipment, noting communication arrays, data processing units, and what appeared to be satellite uplink capabilities. This operation extends far beyond the university. Nationwide network, Torres confirmed. Coffee shops, libraries, shopping centers, office buildings, any place where people gather and information flows naturally. We maintain assets in positions where they can observe without being noticed, gathering intelligence on everything from corporate espionage to potential terrorist activities. The concept was both thrilling and overwhelming. Maya had always known she was meant for something more significant than her parents' conventional expectations, but the reality of stepping into actual intelligence work felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. Once she jumped, there would be no going back to her simple life of cleaning tables and attending engineering classes. The newspaper I found, Maya said suddenly, remembering the carefully folded pages. That was a test. Torres smiled. One of several. Your ability to recognize steganographic communication, your decision to investigate rather than ignore unusual patterns, your discretion in not immediately asking questions about things that seemed out of place, all important indicators that you were ready for this conversation. The wall-mounted clock showed 4:01 p.m. Maya realized she was holding her breath as the routine announcements continued, building toward whatever moment Torres had indicated would mark her transition from candidate to operative.
What happens to my life here? Maya asked. My classes, my roommate, my family?
Your cover identity continues exactly as before, Torres explained. As far as anyone knows, you remain Maya Chen, engineering student and part-time cafeteria worker. The difference is that your real work begins now, integrated seamlessly into your existing routine.
Some of your assignments will be observational, others more active, but always maintaining your civilian persona.
Maya thought about Sarah, her roommate, who had no idea that her quiet, studious friend might be about to become involved in activities that existed in the shadows of ordinary life.
The thought of living a double existence was both exciting and isolating.
Your first assignment, Torres continued, moving to another piece of equipment that Maya now recognized as an encrypted communication terminal, involves monitoring a situation that's developing right here on campus. We have reason to believe that foreign intelligence operatives have infiltrated the computer science department, specifically targeting research into quantum encryption protocols.
The irony wasn't lost on Maya, her genuine academic interests perfectly aligned with her new intelligence role. The research I've been doing on quantum communication systems will now serve a dual purpose, Torres confirmed.
Your legitimate academic work provides perfect cover for investigating potential security breaches and technology theft.
Maya felt a surge of purpose she'd never experienced before.
Everything that had seemed random or coincidental over the past months suddenly formed a clear pattern leading to this moment. Her parents' dismissal of her interests, her uncle's mysterious career, her attraction to complex technical problems, all of it had been preparing her for something larger than she'd imagined. The PA system continued its routine announcements, but Maya noticed Torres checking his watch with increasing frequency. Whatever was about to happen would occur within the next few minutes, and she sensed that her response would determine not just her own future, but potentially the success of operations that extended far beyond anything she could currently comprehend. There's something else, Torres said, his expression becoming even more serious. The situation we're monitoring has accelerated beyond our original timeline. What we expected to unfold over several weeks is happening now, which means your first assignment begins immediately. Maya felt her heart rate increase.
How immediately? Torres moved to the communication terminal and began entering a complex series of codes.
When that announcement comes through in approximately 30 seconds, you'll need to respond as if hearing your activation for the first time. Your reaction will be monitored by hostile operatives who are almost certainly listening to university communications. The weight of responsibility settled on Maya's shoulders like a heavy cloak. Not only was she stepping into the world of intelligence work, but she was doing so under active surveillance by unknown enemies who would be analyzing her every response for signs that she was more than she appeared to be. Remember, Torres said, moving back toward the hidden entrance to the storage area, from this moment forward, you are Obsidian Reed, deep cover operative. But, to everyone watching, you remain Maya Chen, surprised cafeteria worker who has no idea why her name is being announced over the university PA system.
Maya nodded, understanding the complexity of the performance she was about to give.
She had to appear genuinely confused and startled while simultaneously beginning her transformation into someone capable of conducting intelligence operations under the noses of trained enemy agents. The PA system crackled again, and Maya could hear the announcer's voice shifting from the routine announcements to something that sounded more official, more urgent. Torres positioned himself where he could observe her reaction while remaining hidden from any potential surveillance.
This is it, Torres whispered. Your new life begins in 10 seconds. Maya took a deep breath, centering herself for whatever was about to unfold.
In moments, she would hear words that would officially transform her from an ordinary student into an operative in a game of international intrigue she was only beginning to understand. The PA system's familiar crackle filled the storage room as Maya positioned herself near the door, preparing to react as though she had been caught completely off guard. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but years of controlling her emotions during stressful academic presentations helped her maintain surface composure while her mind raced through the implications of what was about to unfold. Attention university community, the announcer's voice carried its usual professional tone, but Maya detected an underlying tension that suggested this was not a routine message.
The following is a special administrative update. Obsidian read, please report to the main administration building for a mission update. Obsidian read, mission update required immediately.
Maya let her eyes widen in genuine confusion, which wasn't difficult given that hearing her codename announced publicly was both thrilling and terrifying. She pushed through the storage room door back into the kitchen area, where Torres had already resumed his Chef Martinez persona, busily organizing supplies as though nothing unusual had occurred.
Did they just say my name? Maya asked loudly enough for anyone in the vicinity to hear, injecting the right amount of bewilderment into her voice. Obsidian read? That's not even my name. Why would they be calling for someone with my last name? Torres looked up with apparent surprise. That is strange. Maybe it's a clerical error? You should probably go check with the administration office. Maya nodded, grabbing her cleaning supplies and heading back into the main cafeteria area. The few students who had been studying looked up with mild curiosity at the unusual announcement, but most had already returned to their laptops and textbooks. However, Maya noticed two new individuals seated near the windows, a man and woman in their 30s, both dressed casually but carrying themselves with the kind of alert stillness she'd learned to associate with people trained in surveillance. As she walked past their table, pretending to clean nearby surfaces, Maya caught fragments of their hushed conversation conducted in what sounded like Russian. Her 4 years of language study suddenly proved more valuable than any academic credit. They were discussing the asset activation and wondering whether Reed was the target they'd been monitoring. Maya felt a chill of realization. These were the hostile operatives Torres had mentioned, and they were here specifically because of her. The announcement hadn't just activated her as an intelligence asset, it had also revealed her existence to enemies who had been waiting for exactly this moment. She continued her cleaning routine while mentally cataloging every detail about the two strangers. The woman had a small scar above her left eyebrow and kept checking a device that looked like a smartphone but had an unusual antenna configuration. The man wore expensive sneakers that showed no signs of normal wear, suggesting they were recently acquired as part of a civilian disguise. "Excuse me," the woman called out as Maya approached their general area. "Did you hear that announcement? Something about someone named Reed?" Maya paused, recognizing this as a test of her cover identity. "Yeah, it was weird. They said Obsidian Reed, but my last name is Chen. Must be some kind of mistake." "You looked confused when they announced it," the man observed, his accent barely detectable but present if you knew what to listen for. "Almost like you recognized the name." "My family name is Reed on my mother's side," Maya replied, sticking as close to truth as possible while maintaining her cover. "I thought maybe it was some distant relative I didn't know about. But, Obsidian? That's definitely not a name anyone in my family would choose." The woman exchanged a quick glance with her companion, and Maya realized they were communicating through subtle facial expressions in a way that suggested extensive training in covert operations. These weren't casual observers, they were professionals who had been tracking her activities long enough to know details about her family background. "You work here often?" the man asked, his tone friendly but his eyes calculating. "We're visiting professors in the computer science department. Dr. Petrov and Dr. Kozlov." Maya recognized the department they mentioned as the same one Torres had indicated was compromised by foreign intelligence. These weren't visiting professors, they were the operatives her first assignment would involve monitoring. "I work here most afternoons," Maya said, continuing to wipe down tables in a pattern that would allow her to observe their behavior while maintaining her cover as a disinterested cafeteria worker. "Are you enjoying the university? The computer science building has some impressive facilities." "Very impressive," Dr. Petrov, the woman, agreed. "We're particularly interested in the quantum research laboratories. Such advanced equipment for a university program." Maya felt another piece of the puzzle click into place. These operatives were here to steal quantum encryption research, exactly the kind of technology her own academic work had been focused on. The convergence was too perfect to be coincidental, her recruitment had been specifically designed to position her to counter this exact threat. "I wouldn't know about that," Maya said with a shrug. "I just keep the cafeteria clean. Though I did hear some engineering students talking about quantum computers yesterday." Sounded like science fiction to me.
The man smiled, but Maya noticed his eyes remained cold.
Science fiction has a way of becoming reality faster than people expect.
As Maya moved away from their table, she could feel both operatives tracking her movement. They were studying her behavior, looking for signs that she was more than she appeared to be. Every gesture, every expression, every word she spoke was being analyzed for inconsistencies that might reveal her true nature. She made her way toward the administration building as the announcement had requested, but took a route that would allow her to observe whether the foreign operatives followed her. Sure enough, after a few minutes, she spotted Dr. Kozlov emerging from the cafeteria and, walking in the same direction, maintaining enough distance to avoid obvious surveillance but staying close enough to monitor her destination.
Maya entered the administration building through the main entrance, signed in at the reception desk as would be normal for any student responding to an administrative announcement, and took the elevator to the third floor. The directory indicated that student services occupied most of this floor, providing perfect cover for what would actually be her first official intelligence briefing. Room 318 appeared to be a standard administrative office, but when Maya knocked and entered, she found herself in what was clearly a sophisticated command center disguised as a mundane university workspace. Computer terminals lined one wall, communication equipment hummed quietly in a corner, and maps of the campus showed detailed security overlays that no ordinary administrator would require. Maya-chan reporting as requested, she said to the woman behind the desk, who looked up from what appeared to be student transcripts but were actually intelligence reports. Agent Reed, the woman replied, her voice carrying quiet authority. I'm Director Walsh. Please, have a seat. We have a situation developing that requires your immediate attention.
Maya settled into the offered chair, noting that the office windows provided clear sightlines to several key campus locations, including the computer science building and the parking area where she'd noticed the black sedan earlier. The announcement protocol was necessary because our timeline has been compromised, Director Walsh explained, turning one of her computer monitors so Maya could see the display. Foreign operatives have accelerated their operation, which means we need to activate our countermeasures immediately rather than allowing you additional weeks of preparation. The screen showed surveillance footage of Dr. Petrov and Dr. Kozlov, along with detailed profiles indicating extensive backgrounds in technology theft and industrial espionage. Maya recognized additional images of individuals she'd seen around campus over the past few weeks but had dismissed as ordinary visitors or temporary staff.
How many operatives are we dealing with?
Maya asked, studying the profiles and beginning to understand the scope of the situation.
At least 6 that we've identified, possibly more, Director Walsh replied.
They've been embedding themselves in various campus positions over the past month, building toward what we believe will be an attempt to access the quantum encryption laboratory tomorrow night. Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling more heavily on her shoulders.
What's my role in stopping them?
Director Walsh smiled approvingly. Your engineering background and legitimate access to computer science facilities make you our ideal asset for this operation. Tonight, you'll attend a student study group in the quantum lab, a completely normal activity that places you exactly where we need you to be.
And if the operatives realize I'm more than a cafeteria worker?
Then, you'll need to rely on the training you've been receiving without knowing it, Director Walsh said. Every conversation Torres has had with you, every situation you've navigated, every instinct you've developed has been preparing you for exactly this scenario.
Maya thought back over the previous months, suddenly recognizing patterns in her interactions with Torres and other staff members.
Comments about situational awareness, casual discussions about different types of personalities, seemingly random questions about how she'd handle various hypothetical scenarios, all of it had been subtle intelligence training disguised as ordinary workplace conversation. The study group tonight, Maya said, her analytical mind already working through the tactical implications.
It's not a real study group. It's real enough, Director Walsh confirmed. 3 genuine computer science students will be there working on legitimate research projects.
But, our intelligence suggests the foreign operatives plan to use the session as cover for accessing restricted areas of the laboratory. Maya nodded, understanding that she would need to protect innocent students while simultaneously gathering intelligence on enemy activities and preventing technology theft. The complexity of maintaining her cover while conducting active operations felt overwhelming, but also strangely exciting. There's something else, Director Walsh continued, her expression becoming even more serious.
We have reason to believe the operatives know about the Obsidian Reed designation.
The announcement today wasn't just activation, it was also designed to flush out their response and confirm our suspicions about the extent of their intelligence gathering.
Maya felt a chill of understanding. I'm not just an asset in this operation. I'm bait.
You're both, Director Walsh confirmed. Your safety is our primary concern, but your exposure also serves strategic purposes. By revealing that we have an active asset, we force them to either abort their mission or accelerate it in ways that make their activities more detectable. Through the office window, Maya could see Dr. Kozlov positioned near the campus fountain, apparently reading a book but actually maintaining surveillance on the administration building. The game of intelligence and counterintelligence was already well underway, with Maya at the center of operations that extended far beyond anything she had imagined possible.
When does my real training begin?
Maya asked, realizing that everything up to this point had been preparation for actual intelligence work that would require skills she had not yet fully developed.
Director Walsh checked her watch. It began the moment you walked into this office.
Everything that happens from now until tomorrow night's operation is advanced field training conducted under live conditions with real enemies who will kill you if they discover your true identity.
Maya took a deep breath, understanding that her transformation from ordinary student to intelligence operative was no longer theoretical.
The stakes were real, the danger was immediate, and the success of the operation would depend on her ability to become someone she had never been while convincing everyone around her that she remained exactly who she had always appeared to be. Maya returned to her dormitory that evening with her mind spinning through the layers of deception she would now need to maintain. To Sarah, her roommate, she needed to appear like the same studious engineering student who had left for work that afternoon. To the foreign operatives who were undoubtedly monitoring her movements, she had to seem like an ordinary cafeteria worker confused by the mysterious announcement. And, to herself, she had to acknowledge that she was now an active intelligence agent whose first mission could determine whether critical technology fell into enemy hands. "Hey, you're back late," Sarah called from her desk where she was working on a psychology assignment.
How was the exciting world of table cleaning?
Maya forced a natural smile while hanging up her jacket, noting that the window blinds were positioned slightly differently than she'd left them. Someone had been watching the room.
Actually kind of interesting today.
There was this weird announcement over the PA system calling for someone with my family name.
Turned out to be some administrative mix-up. Obsidian Reed? Sarah laughed. I heard that too. What kind of name is Obsidian anyway? Sounds like something from a fantasy novel. Right? Maya agreed, while mentally noting that Sarah's casual mention of the announcement meant it had been broadcast widely enough for the foreign operatives to confirm its authenticity. I had to go to the administration office to straighten it out.
Apparently there's some graduate student with a similar name who was supposed to receive research updates. As Maya spoke, she moved around the room in patterns that Director Walsh had quickly taught her during their briefing, ways of checking for surveillance devices while appearing to simply organize her belongings. Behind her psychology textbook, Sarah had no idea her roommate was conducting a security sweep of their living space. "You seem different tonight," Sarah observed, looking up from her homework.
"More alert or something." "Good, different, like you're actually excited about something for once."
Maya realized she needed to be more careful about controlling the energy that came from finally understanding her true purpose.
"I guess that whole mix-up today just reminded me that there's more going on in the world than I usually pay attention to.
Made me think about changing my focus from pure engineering to something more applied, maybe cybersecurity."
"That would be cool," Sarah said.
"You're always reading about technology and security stuff anyway.
Might as well make a career out of it."
The irony of the comment made Maya smile genuinely for the first time all day. In a sense, she already had made a career out of it, just not in the way Sarah could imagine. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message that appeared to be from the computer science department. "Study group tonight 8 p.m, Quantum Lab, bring your cryptography notes." To anyone monitoring her communications, it would seem like a normal academic activity. But Maya recognized it as her final briefing before the operation began. I need to head out again, Maya told Sarah, gathering her backpack and adding textbooks that would support her cover story. Study group for my advanced cryptography elective.
On a Friday night?
Sarah shook her head in mock disapproval.
You really need to get out more. Maybe after this semester when you're not working so much.
Maybe, Maya agreed, though she suspected her definition of getting out more was about to change dramatically from what Sarah had in mind. The walk to the computer science building took her past several locations where she'd spotted foreign operatives throughout the day. Maya forced herself to maintain the casual pace of a student heading to an evening study session, while actually conducting counter-surveillance to determine which enemies were tracking her movements. Dr. Petrov emerged from a coffee shop as Maya passed, falling into step about 50 meters behind her. The timing was too perfect to be coincidental, they were definitely monitoring her activities in real time. Maya felt a mixture of fear and excitement as she realized she was now operating in an active intelligence situation where every decision could have life or death consequences. The quantum laboratory was located in the basement level of the computer science building, accessible through security doors that required both keycard access and biometric confirmation. As Maya approached the entrance, she saw 3 other students already waiting, the legitimate study group members who had no idea they were about to become part of an intelligence operation. Maya called out Jennifer, a graduate student she'd worked with on previous assignments.
Thanks for organizing this session. I've been struggling with the quantum key distribution protocols.
Maya smiled and waved, while noting that security cameras at this location would confirm to any surveillance that she was indeed participating in normal academic activities. The cover story was holding perfectly, which meant the foreign operatives would have no reason to suspect her true role unless something went wrong during the operation itself. Inside the laboratory, Maya quickly assessed the space while helping to set up computers and research materials. The quantum encryption equipment was housed in a separate room accessible through another security door, but the main lab contained terminals that could access the research network.
If foreign operatives intended to steal data, these terminals would be their most likely entry point.
Has anyone else noticed weird people hanging around the building lately? Asked Marcus, one of the undergraduate students in the group. I saw these 2 people earlier who claimed to be visiting professors, but something about them seemed off. Maya felt her pulse quicken. Marcus had encountered Dr. Petrov and Dr. Kozlov, which meant the operatives were actively scouting the location in preparation for their infiltration attempt.
What made them seem off?
Maya asked, while opening her cryptography textbook to maintain the appearance of normal study session preparation. They were asking really specific questions about lab access procedures and security protocols, Marcus replied.
Like, way more detailed than visiting academics would normally care about.
And the woman had this weird phone that kept making clicking sounds. Jennifer looked concerned.
We should probably report that to campus security.
Actually, Maya said carefully, I think I saw the same people in the cafeteria today. They mentioned being visiting professors in computer science. Maybe they were just being thorough about understanding the facilities they'd be working with. Maya hated deflecting legitimate security concerns, but she needed to prevent actions that might alert the operatives that their cover had been compromised. The success of the counterintelligence operation depended on allowing the enemy agents to believe their infiltration plan remained undetected. As the study group settled into their work, Maya positioned herself where she could monitor both the entrance to the lab and the door leading to the quantum encryption equipment. Her computer screen displayed legitimate cryptography problems, but she was actually tracking network activity and watching for signs of unauthorized access attempts. Around 9:30 p.m., Maya noticed unusual activity on the network monitoring display. Someone was probing the laboratory's security systems from an external location. The intrusion attempts were sophisticated enough to avoid triggering standard alarms, but Director Walsh had provided Maya with access to more advanced detection tools. I need to use the restroom, Maya announced, standing up from her workstation in a way that appeared casual but actually positioned her to intercept any physical infiltration of the laboratory. In the hallway outside, Maya activated a small communication device Director Walsh had given her, sending a coded signal indicating that the operation was entering its active phase.
Within minutes, she received a response confirming that additional security personnel were moving into position around the building.
When Maya returned to the lab, she found Marcus staring at his computer screen with a puzzled expression. "That's weird. I'm getting network errors, but only when I try to access certain research directories. Everything else works fine." Maya realized the foreign operatives had begun their cyber intrusion, targeting specific databases while trying to avoid detection. The coordination between external network attacks and the physical presence of operatives near the building confirmed that this was a sophisticated, multi-vector operation. "Let me take a look," Maya offered, moving to Marcus's workstation where she could access the advanced monitoring tools without drawing attention to her capabilities. The display showed exactly what she'd expected: systematic attempts to access quantum encryption research files, using techniques that indicated significant resources and training. But Maya also noticed something else. The intrusion patterns suggested the operatives were looking for something specific, not just conducting general technology theft. As Maya analyzed the attack signatures, she realized the foreign operatives weren't just after quantum encryption technology in general, they were specifically targeting her own research into quantum communication systems. The recruitment, the timing, the selection of this particular laboratory, everything had been designed around her unique work and capabilities. "Maya," Jennifer whispered urgently, "there are people in the hallway. They're not supposed to be here this late." Through the laboratory's reinforced glass windows, Maya could see Dr. Petrov and Dr. Kozlov approaching the security doors, accompanied by two other individuals she recognized from the surveillance photos Director Walsh had shown her. They were carrying equipment bags and moving with the confident precision of people executing a well-rehearsed plan. Maya felt time slow as she realized the operation was now entering its most dangerous phase. The foreign operatives were about to discover that their target was not only aware of their presence, but had been specifically positioned to counter their activities. Everything depended on her ability to protect the innocent students around her while successfully completing her first intelligence mission. "Everyone stay calm," Maya said quietly, her voice carrying an authority that surprised even her. "I need you all to follow my instructions exactly. Move away from the workstations and get behind the equipment cabinets." "Maya, what's going on?" Marcus asked, his voice tight with sudden fear. "Something I should have seen coming," Maya replied, watching as the foreign operatives began working on the laboratory's security door. "But something I'm finally ready to handle." As alarms began to sound throughout the building and the laboratory lights switched to emergency illumination, Maya understood that her transformation from ordinary student to intelligence operative was complete. The success or failure of Operation Lighthouse now rested entirely in her hands, and the skills she'd never known she was learning would determine whether critical technology remained secure or fell into enemy hands. The real test of Obsidian Reed was about to begin.